Good morning, Team Alabama. Please join me in reading Hunger Games on page 43. 43 at the top of the page. They were hummingbirds, exclusively male, that were released into the region where the capital's enemies were known to be hiding. After the birds gathered words, they'd fly back to the centers to be recorded. It took people a while to realize what was going on in districts and how private conversations were being transmitted. Then, of course, the rebels fed the capital endless lies, and the joke was on it. So the centers were shut down and the birds were abandoned to die off in the wild. Only they didn't die off. Instead, the jabberjays mated with female mockingbirds, creating a whole new species that could replicate both bird whistles and human melodies. They had all lost the ability to enunciate words, but could still mimic a range of human vocal sounds, from a child's high-pitched warble to a man's deep tones. And they could create songs, not just a few notes, but whole songs with multiple verses. If you had the patience to sing them, and if they liked your voice. My father was particularly fond of mockingjays, and when we went hunting, he would whistle or sing complicated songs to them, and after a polite pause, they'd always sing back. Not everyone is treated with such respect, but whenever my father sang, all the birds in the area would fall silent and listen. His voice was that beautiful, high and clear, and so filled with life that it made you want to laugh and cry at the same time. I could never bring myself to continue the practice after he was gone. Still, there's something comforting about the little bird. It's like having a piece of my father with me, protecting me. I fastened the pin onto my shirt, and with the dark green fabric as a background, I can almost imagine the mockingjay flying through the trees. Effie Trinket comes to collect me for supper. I follow her through the narrow rocking corridor into the dining room with polished paneled walls. There's a table where all the dishes are highly breakable. Peter Malark sits waiting for us, and the chair next to him empty. "Where's Haymitch?" asks Effie Trinket brightly. "Last time I saw him, he said he was going to take a nap," says Peta. "Well, it's been an exhausting day," says Effie. I think she's relieved by Haymitch's absence, and who can blame her? The supper comes in courses: a thick carrot soup, green salad, lamb chops, mashed potatoes, cheese and fruit, and a chocolate cake. Throughout the meal, Effie Trinket keeps reminding us to save space because there's more to come. But I'm stuffing myself because I've never had food like this, so good and so much. And because probably the best thing I can do between now and the games is put on a few pounds. "At least you two have decent manners," says Effie as we're finishing the main course. "The pair last year ate everything with their hands like a couple of savages. It completely upset my digestion." The pair last year were two kids from the seam who'd never, not one day of their lives, had enough to eat. And where they did have food, table manners were surely the last thing on their minds. Peta's a baker's son. My mother taught Prim and me to eat properly, so yes, I can handle a fork and knife. But I hate Effie Trinket's comment so much that I make a point of eating the rest of my meal with my fingers, and then I wipe my hands on the tablecloth. This makes her purse her lips tightly together. So she intentionally eats with her fingers and to be impolite. Now that the meal's over, I'm fighting to keep the food down. I can see Peta's looking a little green too. Neither of our stomachs is used to such rich fare. But if I can hold down Greasy Say's concoction of mice meat, pig entrails, and tree bark, a winter specialty, that I'm determined to hang on to this. We go to another compartment to watch the recap of the reapings across Pan Am. They try to stagger them throughout the day so a person could conceivably watch the whole thing live. But only people in the capital could really do that, since none of them have to attend reapings themselves. One by one, we see the other reapings, the names called, the volunteers stepping forward, or, more often not, we examine the faces of the kids who will be our competition. A few stand out in my mind. A monstrous boy who lunges forward to volunteer from District 2, a fox-faced girl with sleek red hair from District 5, a boy with a crippled foot from District 10, and most hauntingly, a 12-year-old girl from District 11. She has dark brown skin and eyes, but other than that, she's very like Prim in size and demeanor. Only when she mounts the stage and they ask for volunteers, all you can hear is the wind whistling through the decrepit buildings around her. There's no one willing to take her place. Last of all, they show District 12, Prim being called, me running forward to volunteer. You can't miss the desperation in my voice as I shove Prim behind me, as if I'm afraid no one will hear and they will take Prim away. But of course they do hear, and I see Gail pulling her off me, and watch myself mount the stage. The commentators are not sure what to say about the crowd's refusal to applaud. The silent salute. One says that District 12 has always been a bit backward, but that local customs can be charming. As if on cue, Haymitch falls off the stage and they groan comically. PETA's name is drawn, and he quietly takes his place. We shake hands, they cut to the anthem again, and the program ends. Effie Trinket is disgruntled about the state her wig was in. Your mentor has a lot to learn about presentation, a lot about televised behavior. Excuse me. PETA's unexpectedly laughs. He was drunk, says PETA. He's drunk every year. Every day, I add. I can't help smirking a little. Effie Trinket makes it sound like Haymitch just has somewhat rough manners that could be corrected with a few tips from her. Yes, hisses Effie Trinket. How odd you two find it amusing. You know your mentor is your lifeline to the world in these games, the one who advises you, lines up your sponsors, and dictates the presentation of any gifts. Haymitch can well be the difference between your life and your death. Just then, Haymitch staggers into the compartment. I missed supper, he says in a slurred voice, and then he vomits all over the expensive carpet and falls in the mess. Ugh. So laugh away, says Effie Trinket, and she hops in her pointy shoes around the pool of vomit and flees the room. End of chapter 3, guys. Go ahead and let's get some facts written. What do we know? Who is the tribute? Why did she volunteer? How was she brave? Who is the boy tribute? Who is her special friend that she hunts with? All of these are facts that you can add. And then we'll work on vocabulary as well. Have a great rest of your day, Team Alabama.